Who better than me?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the casual stream. As always, please like and subscribe. Share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. Anyone that you think will be interested, get them to come along, get them to leave a comment, get them to lock in. Um, yeah, I mean, look, it's been an interesting couple of days. I want to thank everyone who's already in the chat. I'll get to that in a moment. Thank everyone who's part of the channel. And yeah, look, it's just another nice, light-hearted, casual moment where we get to, talk some boxing outside of the regular episodes. We get to have some fun, give some unfiltered opinions, and yeah, just kind of see where we go. So, without further ado, let's have a look to see who's in the building thus far. Alright, shout out to Hot Pies #1 in the building today. Big ups to you. Sai was second. Man, I wish Conor just kept his mouth shut and let his team and promoter handle it. Now it's just a show. Yeah, I mean, I hear you. Big ups to you. Someone press the button. Have you stopped crying? Your golden boy isn't out of hot water yet. I don't know whose golden boy it is. It ain't mine, but you know, fair enough. Tyson Fury's fan club. This guy's joke. How come you aren't getting 1K views a video? If you're so good, why is your growth so slow? If you're so good, okay. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me. Bigsy Biggs, get that guy out of here. I mean, no, you know what? I'll let everyone say what they want to say, man. If factually, I mean, I guess he's telling the truth. You know, I don't get 1K on everything, so you know, I mean, it's what it is. But no, big ups to you as always, Philip. Are you gonna touch on the rumor news about Derek J? Yeah, I mean, look, all of that. We could talk about all of that today. We've got an hour and a bit. No problem at all. Shout out to you, North Bank. Big ups to you, and Untraceable. I see you in the building. Stay blessed, be real. Blessings to each and every one. Cos D'Amato, shout outs to you as well. Toby Bartlett, each and every time, thank you very much. James, big up to you in the chat. Yeah, look, Tyson Fury's fan club, I like that. I know that someone pressed the button. I know he's not happy because I debunked something he said on someone else's channel, and he seems to be upset with me ever since. It's fine, you know. Everyone's entitled to their say, you know, freedom of speech and all that good stuff. I'm quite happy to put up the comments, good and bad, because ultimately, who am I to censor anyone else's opinion? If you don't like the content, that's okay. But the fact is, because you clicked on my video and you left a comment, you're now a part of my algorithm. So you've actually given me a view and you've given me engagement. So you've actually defeated the purpose of what you've come here to say. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, give it a couple more minutes just to make sure everyone else who's in the chat is, you know, still here, still rocking. But hope everyone's had a good day. I'm a question: do you guys prefer these being at 8 o'clock or 9? Because I prefer 8. You know, the only reason they even do the breakdown at 9 is because Tony he does boxing classes, you know, in the community, and he normally used to take him a long time to get home. He never used to get back in time, so we pushed it back to 9 o'clock. But I feel like 8 o'clock is kind of more the sweet spot. And then if you run overtime, you know, people still have the option to, you know, they still get a bit more of their evening or their night time left. But let me know. I prefer 8. But if you guys want it to be later, let me know, and we can obviously look and we can adjust that moving forward. But yeah, I see Big says 8 is okay with him. That's cool. I like that. But yeah, no, there's a few things. Look, there's a few things to talk about. Obviously, I haven't addressed since the weekend, so we pretty much go through the roster. Jam Down 187 in the building each and every time. Salute to you, Bridget. Thank you very much for being here. Yes, guess it's gonna keep it nice and light and breezy for first couple of minutes. So, ah, funny. Someone thought Conor Benn was my golden child. Oh, do you know why it's funny? Because a lot of people don't actually know who I like and don't like in boxing. So I always find it funny when they just assume, oh, because someone's matchroom, yeah, all of a sudden, like, I'm there, I champion them. Like, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Um, one of my best friends in boxing, if you want to call it that, is actually is on the Queensbury roster right now. So to think that all I do is like matchroom guys is actually like very, very, very funny. Uh, but yeah, Fidel Tawaldi, big ups to you. Thank you very much for being here. Philip, what's this? I don't know if I'm allowed to ask this because of YouTube, but have you seen the news about? Yeah. I've seen it. I'm waiting for. If you want my opinion, I'm actually waiting for the 50 Cent documentary to come out. That I think will be very interesting. Look, obviously, as you said, it's not boxing. It's not really anything to do with me as such. But in all times, I hope that the due process is had in terms of justice system going through tribunals, and whatever the results are, I just hope that people find justice and they get the justice and the peace that they deserve. So that's kind of how I look at things. Shout out to Josh, JDO5. It's payday tonight. Well, it is for you. I don't get paid, unfortunately, until after the bank holiday. But yeah, shout out to anyone who is getting paid tonight or tomorrow morning. James says 50 Cent doc is going to be very interesting. 100% it is. But look, all right, we're almost 8 minutes in. Anyone who's gonna be here is gonna be here right now. So yeah, I suppose we can get to some of the topics. I'm gonna save the Conor stuff for a little bit, let other people join in. But I guess the first thing I probably want to chat about is, let's look at the fact you got Lawrence Okolie. I think we need to talk about Lawrence Okolie first. And sometimes now it's like I have to be very careful about who I talk about and what I say, because you might get family members messaging me about things, or their fans or their friends all of a sudden have issues. But in this sense, look, we've looked at Lawrence and we know that he's going up to Bridgerweight to fight Lucas Rosansky. Well, now we see that Lawrence is actually supposedly, or it looks like he's training with Joe Gallagher. And you know what? Joe Gallagher is actually a very sound boxing mind, but I feel as if when he manages someone is when I feel like he goes off the deep end in terms of his opinions and his thoughts and whatnot. And I know that sometimes he definitely feels as if there's a bias towards like the north of the country as opposed to the south. I mean, look, that's probably true because the capital of the country is in the south. A lot of things is down here. You probably don't get as many opportunities up there. But if anything, he's just one of those people that seems kind of bitter. And I don't know if that's the energy that Lawrence Okolie is going to need in and around him now, especially considering the big rebuild that he's got on his hands with his career. And it's one of the things where you look at that and you say, all right, you're going over to Poland after having to go over to Bournemouth, or go down to Bournemouth, I should say, as a champion, not fighting in over a year, or coming up to a year by the time that fight takes place. And it's just like, were you really better off leaving Matchroom, Eddie Hearn, and 258 management? Now obviously I know people probably going to be in the comments, oh, you see, there he is, champion in Matchroom again. But in this case, it's just we're just looking at a fact, a factual statement. Like, I can't, in good conscience, come on here and feel like Lawrence Okolie has made the right moves in the last couple of years. Like, everything, it's almost like anything that could go wrong did. And I wonder if he would be like, if he would ever go into an interview or something and admit, you know what? In hindsight, looking back at how things have played out, I probably didn't handle things the right way, or I guess I made some mistakes. Even if I feel like I've got the right kind of team around me right now, I don't know if things probably wouldn't have played out like this had I have still been with my original team. Even if you take Matchroom out of it, just the two. I don't feel like you would have been in this problem if you still had the 258 people around you. And I know he was upset talking about. Well, he didn't quite say this. I know his brother said this, but he's like, how can you be a world champion and you're still fighting on Anthony Joshua undercards? But quite frankly, those undercards are some of the best paid cards out there. So, it's either, do you want to get paid like a big percentage of a small pot, or a small percentage of a large pot to be, to be on a show that that people are going to watch, that you're going to get a profile from, especially when you're the chief support or the co-main. So you're there just before the main event. So more time than not, the majority of the people that's going to be there for the event is going to be there to see you as well. They're going to see your profile, and if you do well enough, you gain some of that traction. Look, I'm not gonna lie, I feel a bit bad in terms of just how the whole situation's played out. And it's even the case of, all right, if you win that Bridgerweight title, what next? Like, what benefit do you get after that? That's more something I'm quite interested in. Like, where do you go after the Bridgerweight title? Because there's no one really there to defend, so you just hold it for a bit, drop it, move up to heavyweight, and then like campaign for heavyweight title. Do you just stick at Bridgerweight and claim it as your division and wait for other people to move up? I'm just wondering how that all works. And then even outside of that, you have to hope that the style, the matchups, everything works in your favor. The quality of your matches has got to improve. You can't be having people walking out of your matches anymore, people slagging off your performance, because before it was all that, well, I know that wasn't a great performance, it was a bad performance, but ultimately, like, I got the win, I'm still the champ, they still got to come see me. I remember I said a while ago, Lawrence Okolie better pray he never loses that belt, because if he does, he's going to be in big problems. And no sooner did I say that, did he lose the belt, and we've seen kind of what happened afterwards. Part of that also, I think Boxer got to take some blame because they didn't enforce or honor the contract for the for the rematch clause. So I don't know how much input they had with that. I heard some rumors about the timeline of that story, and a lot of it to do with Chris Smith and the cut that he had, and then some other things obviously was going on in Lawrence's life. But the whole thing's just a bit of a, as someone said in the comments a little while ago, things a bit of a shit show. So let's hope that the Joe Gallagher move, the move to Bridgeway, everything can move in unison and we can get back to some kind of normality, because unfortunately it's just not looking good right now. But let's check those comments. Let's see what we get here. Jam Down's telling Josh to share the wealth. I mean, super chats never hurt, JD. So, did you see the interview with Ben S interview on the Errol Hawani? No. I'll have to check that out. I haven't seen that. Did you watch Lee Wood's interview with Matchroom? I haven't watched the Matchroom one, but I have watched the one he did with, I think it was Boxing Social. He did a few of them, so I've only managed to check out that one. But I will look at the. I'm gonna watch the rest of them. But I know that he's not really happy with Josh Warrington at the moment. I know he's a free agent right now because he said that he had it written into his contract that if he didn't get the City Ground fight next in his contract, to allow him to be out of his contract so that he can go maybe where someone can make it or still come back to Matchroom. So he's exploring all of his options. He also said that his next fight has to be in Nottingham because he doesn't know if his next fight's gonna be his last, but he wants to make sure his last fight is in the city. So I'm assuming every fight he's gonna have from now moving forward up until he retires is gonna be at that City Ground or is gonna be in Nottingham at least. Jamdal says, I might need Tony or Abs to protect you from Big Fraser on Sunday. Fraser's cool. Shout out to Fraser Clark. He's alright. Look, we had like I said on the video, man. Look, I gave him the opportunity to say what he wanted to say, as I said that I would when I messaged him on Instagram. He asked to see the messages because he didn't remember them, so I showed him the messages, and he was like, "All right, no." He said that's totally fine. I ain't got a problem with that. And he said to me, "Respect to you for being a man of your word. Ultimately, respect for you for backing your chat and backing what you said." Because he didn't remember, so I didn't have to bring it up, but I did because as a man, I stand on what I say. If I say something and it ain't right or you don't think it's right, and you wanna challenge it, I'm gonna let you challenge it. It's what it is. That's just how I roll. James, Okolie needs an experienced team to look after him. As a champion, why would you go to Bournemouth as a away corner? Have a rematch doesn't happen. Why is he going to Poland? Yeah, I mean, look, it's not looking good for him right about now. Toby, Okolie has made some seriously bad decisions, in my opinion. Look, he's not the only one. The thing is, we all make bad decisions. It's just such a shame that his are so public at this moment in time. That being said, I think the Joe Gallagher thing might be a good decision if it's only about just improving his technique and his form. If it's going to be anything else, like one thing he doesn't want is Joe Gallagher talking for him. That's where the problems is going to come, because Joe will say some stuff that then he's going to have to back and defend, otherwise he's going to be looking crazy to the public, and that's what we don't want. So as long as he's just training him, cool. Reese Cooper, big ups to you, big up to you each and every time. And Karma, shout out to you as always. Yeah, Lawrence is in quite a pickle. Hopefully he can land on his feet. I hope so too, because I don't dislike Lawrence in any way, shape or form. Obviously a lot of you may know that me and his brother don't necessarily see eye to eye, but that's nothing of my doing. Like, I didn't cause any dramas between us. He kind of just attacked me unprovoked one time on a platform that I work for, and yeah, it just is what it is. But I've even got no ill wills towards him. The one thing I always said was, it's crazy you say what you said about me on the platform. You've seen me several times in public and you ain't never said nothing to my face. So that if it was really, so it can't be that much of a problem, because he doesn't seem fit to see me in public and then want to address me or handle the situation. So yeah, it is what it is. Karma, I don't think Boxer had good intentions for Lawrence. They used his frustration and insecurity to get him over there and get his belt. I mean, that could be very, very plausible. Jamdan 187, Matchroom is really not the golden ticket that a lot of boxing fans think it is. Saying that, there is a pattern of fighters that have left in a foul way and their careers have gone downhill. I mean, look, I think that all comes down to, what do they say? Clean heart, clean hands, or something like that. Or clean heart, clean minds, or you at least get a bit more of a a stress-free life if you have a clean heart, and when you leave on good terms, like they always say, like never bite the hand that feeds you, and never leave a situation on bad terms, because you never know when you're gonna have to circle back around, or when you're going up, never disrespect people, because they'll be the same people you see on the way down. It all, all of these things. That's why you never really catch me talking about people like behind their back or anything like that, because I'm just direct. And ultimately, something like this, all right, you could say, well, I'm not addressing someone directly, but my face is here and I'm on a platform. You can see me. So if there's nothing that I will say here that I won't say in someone's face, which you guys have seen before. Um, and ultimately, I'm making myself accountable by having my face on the screen. I'm not behind the avatar saying what I'm saying. You know me, you see me, people see me out, I'm in pictures, I go to a lot of places on my ones, I'm very self-secured in myself. Like, so it's not hard to approach me if there's ever a problem. And that's how I maintain my integrity. So yeah. Uh not okay, not boxing related, so I'll leave you two to talk that. Jam down Brook, White, Bawatsi, Okolie, to name a few. Yeah, I mean, look, they've all had bad moments, unfortunately. Uh, Tony, I'm in his corner. No, I appreciate that. Lewis, more photos. Big up to you each and every time. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the weekend. I think you're going to be probably at the press conference on Friday and the weigh-in on Saturday. So yeah, I'll definitely be at the press conference, and October's coming down for the weigh-in, so I said that I'll go there as well. Since it's down the road, it's not too much of an inconvenience. So yeah, if you're there, man, pull up. Um, Star Fox WR45E based the 10 toes down, 100%. Like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? All right, absolute worst that's gonna happen. He's gonna chin me in front of everyone, and I can claim a nice little paycheck out of that. you know. Um, or we're scrapping. But ultimately, like you say, unless you're taking it to a disrespectful level, and you're talking about someone's family members, because that's what most people hold dear. It's their own family, right? So as long as you're not disrespecting a person's family, like it's not a problem. JD, I think Woodley stops Clark inside 6 rounds. I don't rate Clark. I mean, that's fair enough. Oh, what's going on? Shout out. This is for everyone watching. This is my one of my younger cousins, the dance. I won't tell you what the family name is, but yeah, that's a 38 watchers, 15 likes. Let's fix that. I mean, yes, I'm on 49 people watching now, so salute to that, and salute to you, cuz we need to chat and catch up anyway. It's been a little while. Uh, yeah, Karma gets all the love, and she deserves every last drop of it. Philip, yeah, I tried to defend you on that one, base. No, hey, big ups to you, Philip, man, each and every time. I, Lucan, how is it the boxer got away by not honoring the Okolie rematch clause? Forget the rematch might not be of interest to people, but as a matter of principle, they should keep the agreement. Cowboys. I mean, I can't disagree with anything you're saying. Shout out to you, I, Lucan. Um, Jam down. Stopping Fraze within 6 is unlikely unless Woodley opens up Fraze scar tissue in the first couple of rounds. I mean, look, what I will say, Josh, yeah, look, if you look at the size of Fraser Clark's legs, like, and he's got a very big, thick neck as well, it's gonna take a lot to get him off his feet early. Like, for you to KO him, he's gonna have to be tired. So he's not just gonna like get laid out by a couple punches. He's gonna have to be drained and tired out and fatigued and worn down to the point where he's finding it difficult to stand up, and then you're gonna have to lay him out. But can Fabio do that and still have energy in the tank? That's the question. But don't worry, like, we're doing basis picks live tomorrow, so we'll get into all of that. You just hit the like button. Big ups to you, Jonah31. Shout out, thank you very much for being here. Where's the weigh-in? It's at the Aurora Ballroom in Greenwich, Tony. So it's near the arena. It's like the hotel, the Aurora Hotel. Like, I think it's a couple minutes away from the O2 Stadium. Um, Ed Whitcomb, big up to you. Okolie got to pack in the punch and hold. If he does that in Poland, he gets DQ'd. I mean, quite possibly. Fight Fan TV Live, shout out to you. Shout out to Danny. So the topic we just finished talking about, Lawrence Okolie joining Joe Gallagher and obviously, fighting Rosansky, and just sort of talking about how, going to boxer doesn't seem to be the best move for him thus far. But we're gonna switch over very shortly to one of the other main topics of the day before we head to the Conor Benn stuff right at the end of the show. JDM just sub to the channel. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Appreciate the support. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the content. Hope you keep liking and subscribing and commenting and just engaging with it. And anytime you don't like something, please make sure you put it in the comments. Let me know not just what you do like, not just hailing me when there's something you don't like. Let me know. If it's something I can change, I will. If I can't, I'll give you an explanation why I can't change it. But I appreciate that. James, I think it will be embarrassing for Fraser if he loses this fight. A lot of pressure for him. Could be tricky for Fabio. He loses too, especially as a free agent. I mean, look, that's definitely valid. What I will say is I think that even if Fabio loses, he's a good opponent that you can get in there on the undercard. So he'll definitely still be able to get undercard slots on fairly big events. Like, he always comes to fight. He's always in good fights. He hasn't had a stinker yet, or a stinker that was, a stinker by his own choice. He's fan friendly and he's fairly marketable. So even on a loss, you're more likely to deal with him, provided obviously his salary demands aren't too crazy. But obviously, Fraser's the one on the big boxer contract, with the big, minimum guarantee and everything. So for him to lose I think is a lot more damaging, especially as he was, hailed as like the next up from Britain. But yeah. All right, a couple more and then we'll get into the next topic. Okolie will be B-side fighter in the Rosansky fight. This means the referee won't allow Okolie to hug. Maybe Rosansky won't let Okolie hug anyway. Who knows? I mean, yeah, he can kind of get underneath, like wing those hooks in from whatever area he wants. He's going to be short on squat, so maybe Okolie won't be able to wrap his arms around him. We never know. Tony, losses happen. It's never the end if you choose to learn. There's that. And if you're in an entertaining fight, then no problem. Any reason why the fight is on Sunday? Because it's Easter Sunday and there's no one's got to go to work on Monday. So there was a lot of stuff kind of going on Saturday in the boxing world across the pond. And I guess number one, they didn't want to get drowned out by any of that stuff. And also, I think there may have been maybe not a concert, but something may have been going on the O2 on the Saturday. So they decided to put it on the Sunday as well, seeing as no one's, most people don't have work on the bank holiday Monday. A couple times people have done that, and they get pretty decent traction because they're the only thing. They ain't got anything else to compete with at the time. Okay, all right, so that's the end of that. So the next thing we're going to talk about before we get into obviously the stuff with Conor, we've got to talk about the 5v5, but not specifically the 5v5. We've got to talk about the fact that Anthony Yarde, apparently, according to what we've seen on social media thus far, seems to be very much, or his team seem to be campaigning to be paid and be paid quite well to do the 5v5 against Callum Smith. Now, Paul Smith came out yesterday, I believe it was, or Monday, late on Monday, basically having a go at Tunde Ajayi. I do believe ultimately there was a source that came out with the news that that was potential for the card, and the rumors are the source was via Tunde to sort of push that out there to the public. But Paul Smith said, well, there's no chance that Callum's gonna be on that card because he's getting married on the exact same day that the card's taking place, which kind of kiboshed that. So the question then becomes, well, we all know if Callum Smith definitely isn't in that, Eddie Hearn already said Craig Richards is his champion. It's his 175 guy if that weight class gets called. Does Anthony Yarde take that fight, knowing that him and Craig are supposedly very good friends, and Tunde, you know, says on a consistent basis that him and, you know, that he's got nothing but love for Craig Richards, but he always seems to want to downplay him on his Stamina for Sale show. I don't watch it a lot unless someone points me to it and says, no, you need to check this, you need to check that. But it's like anytime I've ever heard him really talk about Craig Richards, always, oh yeah, look, you know, love to him, love to Dan Aziz, but they're not on the level, or they can't do this, or they ain't got the same metrics, they don't do X, Y, and Z. So it's like, if it's that much of a friendship thing, like, how come you keep trying to downplay this person? Ultimately, if they was like, all right, you know what? No, we're not gonna fight each other. Like, that's mad. Like, you're my boy, I'm your boy. We go church together. All these bits and pieces. But then your manager, promoter, keeps trying to talk smack about me. I'm gonna be like, no, do you know what? Run the check. Let's do this, because I need to find out right now. Are you really as good as you're claiming you are? That's how I'd be in my mind. Unless your words are always like honey, then I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to get the vinegar out, and we're gonna have to start exchanging those streams and just seeing ultimately what sticks. That's how I would see it. And I haven't spoken to Craig in a while, a few weeks, but I'm pretty certain that he is very cognizant of what's being said and the way they're being said, and how there's disrespect probably being put in the guise of friendly, you know, sort of friendly words and whatnot. I would be like, no, do you know what? I'd be, you know, Anthony, I know me and your brethren, but true say, Tunde keeps saying that, like, I'm not on your level. I want to find out. So let's do this thing June 1st. That's how I'd look at it, personally. But on the plus side of that, now, you've got Joshua Buatsi, who don't tweet for nothing, is coming out telling the people, well, you know who I want. Like, you guys, I had no offers, I ain't heard nothing yet, but you guys know who I want. And if you guys remember, when was it? Last week, when I think Anthony Yarde put out what was it? He put out like a statement saying, you know, the negotiations are still going back and forth. There's there's one team or there's someone that's being sort of unrealistic in the demands and whatnot. And there was a couple of people I know. October Red, she posted it. I know Bruce Kai, if he's in the building, shout out to Bruce as well. I know he was like, oh, what was Diva Buatsi saying now or whatever. And I was like, well, how do we know necessarily it's that team? Because wasn't it Tunde who said that, you know, that fight's got to be a stadium fight on pay-per-view? So lo and behold, it looks as if time has kind of proven me right. Because when we look at the situation, you've got, now obviously I don't know how much Ben is telling the truth, but Ben Shalom has gone out and said that, you know, their team signed, they're agreed on terms, they haven't heard anything back from the other side. Frank Warren has said, well, you know, it's not necessarily done yet. You've got Josh who said, look, you know who I'm after, you know what I want. And it seems to be the other side that is based on the what was it, the Stamina for Sale, the Fight is Right podcast from last week, which I think has now been taken down after some of the rants and stuff that happened on there. But, you know, Tunde was very brazen in his, yo, we're gonna, you know, no, pay us the money, like Ben Shalom, Turkey Al Sheikh, like, pay us the money, innit? So it very much seems, if we're got to look at a side and say which side is actually not playing ball or is, you know, being unrealistic in their demands, it does seem on the surface, based on all the evidence, to be, you know, Team Yarde as opposed to Team Buatsi on this particular occasion. That also being said, funnily enough, I know that if they couldn't have been talking about the 5v5 for Yarde and Smith, because if what I remember, I'm pretty sure that Anthony Yarde's on holiday at the moment. I don't know how long it takes him to get ready for a fight, but I do know he's not in the UK in the gym as of this moment in time. So maybe his next fight isn't taking place until July or August or September. So I don't know. I still do think he will be facing Joshua Buatsi next. I don't think he will be um, a part of the 5v5. I mean, I heard from sources ages ago that he turned it down before before the weight classes were even announced. He said, "I'm not doing it." And obviously that coincided with Eddie Hearn saying, "Yeah, Craig Richards is my pick at light heavyweight." So there's a bunch of other stuff that obviously I could say, but it's some of it is past, so I don't really want to say certain things and get people even more pissed off at me than they may already be. But yeah, just know that I never saw that as a realistic proposition. I do think Buatsi is next on his list and his agenda. However that plays out, when it finally gets announced, we can talk about it. But yeah, I guess that's kind of how I'm gonna leave that one. But speaking of the 5v5, 'cause I haven't put that in an actual video or anything yet. I saw something on Twitter yesterday, which kind of made sense to me with regards to that 5v5. If you look at the picks, right, the choices that were given, you had obviously heavyweight twice, you had middleweight, you had featherweight, and you had light heavyweight. All of those weight classes are weight classes that Frank Warren and Queensberry are quite well stacked in. Heavyweight is by far their leaps ahead. Like, you've got one world champion in Tyson Fury, you've got two even though, I mean, Zhang might be on the end of his contract, but you've got 2/3 contenders in Zhang, Parker, and Dubois, and then you've got your prospects in Adelier, you've got Soldakus, you've got Moses Atalma. So, you know, you're looking at a good 7 top draw heavyweights on your side, whereas on Matchroom, it's, you know, you've got your superstar contender in Anthony Joshua, and then you've got 2 prospects in Justice Hooney and Johnny Fisher. I don't know what the system or the deal is with Dempsey McKean at this moment in time. Filip Hrgovic obviously isn't officially signed to Matchroom at this point. He was, but he's no longer actually with them in that capacity. So heavyweight is heavily stacked in favor of Queensberry, and they've got 2 chances at the heavyweight crown. Then featherweight, obviously they got Nick Ball, but they've got a couple other decent featherweights as well on the roster. Some of the names escape me right now off the top of my head. Matchroom, obviously, they've got Ray Ford. They had Lee Wood, but now he's a free agent. He's not technically with them. They had Josh Warrington, but he's moving up to 130 for the Lee Wood rematch if he can get it. Mauricio Lara, he might be moving up to 130 as well. And Ray Ford said he wants to go up to 130, and he already took himself out of featherweight. So you've got Hopey Price, I think, is the only guy that they've got left in the featherweight division. Then you look at middleweight, again, highly stacked on the Queensberry side. You've got Nathan Heaney, you've got Denzel Bentley, you've got Hamza Shiraz. They've probably got a deal in place at the moment now with that Brad Pauls. Yeah, so you've got a good 4 solid ones there. And on Matchroom, you've got Amo Williams and maybe Felix Cash, who's sometimes up and down. So literally, you've got one person to represent that whole division. So you say to yourself, oh, okay. Then light heavyweight, obviously, you've got Callum Smith, who, by all rights at this moment, appears to be semi-retired. You've got Craig Richards, who's obviously Mr. Ever Ready and Mr. Always There, trustworthy, but people, you know, don't really rate his profile as highly as they should. You've got Khalil Cole from America, very good sort of prospect / contender, but not known, you know, overall. So he's not really someone you necessarily pick like that. There's those 3, and you've got some really big super middleweights, but none of them are really going to go and take that heavyweight crown. And then on the other side, obviously, you got Anthony Yard, you got Willie Hutchinson, you've got Ezra Taylor, you've got Carol Atuma, and I guess Zach Parker if he moves up there. So they're not stacked heavily, but you know, if they want to say that they've got the most well-known light heavyweight in the country, fine. So then you look at all of that and you say, but there is so many weight classes where Matchroom would stomp mud holes in Queensbury. And we're talking about like super lightweight, welterweight, super middleweight, cruiserweight. Obviously you got the lighter weights as well, like flyweight, light fly. If they, lightweight specifically, 135. I mean, look, you got Andy Cruz at lightweight. They're not trying to go against him. And if you go to super featherweight, then that's where most of their guys have now moved up to. So it feels a bit like there was an agreement behind the scenes, or there was something that was mentioned behind the scenes to say, look, you guys, you've got all of these different advantages. These are the only weight classes that Queensbury are heavily stacked in, or they have like arguably what they can call the best talent in the country, or the best roster. So you guys have to pick from these set weight classes. These ones we're gonna disavow all knowledge of these ones. These ain't a part of it. This is where you're gonna select. Let me know in the comments if you guys think that was plausible. But just looking at those weight classes, I'm just like, if I was Eddie, there's more there. I wouldn't have picked featherweight, especially if obviously if I was going to select my champion Ray Ford. I'd be like, well, I'm not going to pick that weight class for your guy to get a free shot at a title when he didn't do his job and win his title, kind of thing. So if I was Eddie, I would have picked lightweight. I would have picked 140. Like, I would have picked like Superfly and had Bam Rodriguez like jump in there before the Estrada fight or something, or even Lightfly, and you get Sivanati Nonshinga. I would have gone for my guaranteed wins, but it just seems as if the weight classes that were picked with an agreement, maybe by His Excellency, who said, well, look, you've got a lot of world class in these fields, but they're maybe not as stacked, or they've got a lot more prospects, so it's not fair. So because it's not fair, we're going to restrict it to maybe these 6 weight classes that you can pick, or these 7. I don't know. Let me know if you guys think that's plausible. But I do think the whole picking heavyweight twice thing was, I'm not gonna lie, in terms of the 5v5, I think that's a nonsense. I would have much rather if they just wanted to put 2 heavyweight fights on the card, and then you had the 5v5 underneath that, if that's what they really wanted to do. Or you had 1 heavyweight in the 5v5, and then you just had that other fight as a part of the event, and it was just Turkey Aloe Sheikh's wild card bout of the night, and that could have been whoever, and it's nothing to do with Matchroom or Queensbury, because that's what it feels like. I don't know if Zhang still has his contract with Queensbury. I do think that his deal was up from the Parker fight, although because he's got the rematch clause, maybe that just ties him to one sort of more fight on his old contract. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Maybe I'm talking sort of the most amount of rubbish, but that's how I kind of see it. It just, a lot of those weight classes just seem very contrived, like it was given out beforehand, even if you don't necessarily know who the other team is going to pick, but those weight classes were already pre-agreed before they were announced. That's my conspiracy in it. Let me know what you think. All right, let's see. I'm gonna go through the chat again real quick. Okay, Red or Dead, big ups to you. Uppercut I appreciate that, and yes, must be done. Johnny Gaffer, yeah, he downplays Craig a lot despite saying how much he's cool with him. Very, 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 very true. Tony, Tunde's metrics are hella warped based on YouTube views and Insta followers. I mean, look, with regards to that, here's what I'm going to say. You can't use YouTube views from a fight that happened 4 years ago against YouTube views from a fight that happened 2 months ago or 4 months ago. Of course, they're going to have more views. Like, that's just that's just common sense. You're gonna say, oh well, the Beterbiev fight or the Beterbiev fight, sorry, had like 3.1 million views on it, yet the Buatsi Aziz fight had what 210,000 or something. Yeah, but when you said that the fight literally took place 2 weeks earlier, I mean, what was it? What was it supposed to do in that time? Or the Callum Smith and the Beterbiev fight, which happened 3 weeks before. It happened the week before that fight. So he's very good at spin. I'll give him that. Um, who does the chat have? Bivol better be ever. I'm gonna let the chat handle that one. Johnny Gaffer. Tunde was really campaigning for AJ to get paid on Sunday show. It was a cry. Oh, I think you mean AY. So it was a cry to be paid. It was tough to watch, I can't lie. Yeah. Haru King, the thumbnail pick for this live. Yeah. I'm happy you like it. Happy it brought you some entertainment. Jam down. Yeah, the whole I don't want to fight Spider because he's a friend is nonsense. It sounds more like Spider is a tricky fight that Yard isn't fully confident about. Again, I can't say that's a wrong assumption. It does seem like there's something there they're not too sure about. Otherwise, you'd say, you know what, he's my brother, but the money's there, so let's get it done. There seems to be a lot of excuses. James, strange that Joshua B hasn't received the offer. I'm sure Warren said he sent an offer. Is he hiding the offer, or is Buatsi hiding the offer? I don't. Who knows? Or is that supposed to be Ben Shalom B? Josh, would you like to see Campbell Hatton retire? No, not after his last fight, because it was entertaining. It's the best fight he's had thus far. Look, if he continues to lose, then that's a choice for him. But that was a very entertaining fight, and as long as he has entertaining fights and he's not at the top of the bill, provided it's not a next gen card, I don't have a problem with it. Everyone knows what my issue with Campbell Hatton was. He was given such a big platform with absolutely there was no deserved nature of that happening. That was my big issue with that whole situation. Tunde actually believes Yard is the best in the world. I mean, to be fair, look, Tunde is his manager and his trainer. If he doesn't believe that, who else is going to? So I don't actually have an issue with that being the case. JDM Paul Smith said Callum Smith can't fight. He's getting married on 1st of June. Exactly. Okay, Tony's responding to Josh there, so that's between you two. Toby, imagine the next breaking news: Buatsi asks Eddie to be matching with wildcard pick for 175. Unfortunately, Toby, there is no wildcard in anything apart from that last heavyweight bout that His Excellency picked. So the others have to be a part of your stable. It's only that particular bout where you can get a wildcard entry, or you can go and sign someone to represent your team. So yeah, Eddie would have to use the people that are already on his roster. But it would have, if you could have just picked wild cards and signings, that would have been very, very fun to see. Maybe Josh have to go back and have a conversation and go back to fighting on the app. As that really aged poorly. Yeah. I remember I was in attendance for that whole press conference, and initially I was like, "Raw." Based on certain things I heard about his fight with Craig Richards, I said, "All right, maybe you made the right choice going to Sky Sports." But then the following day, oh, the app's on Sky. that was beautiful to watch. I can't lie. Like those are the kind of like dirty tactics that you want to see in boxing. James, yeah, Hatton is still young and he did show some balls. He can get better. No way should he retire. Yeah. Campbell could be a big player in the area English title ranks, 100%. Base always kicking up dust. I mean, it's what I have to do, Karma. I'm just honest. Like, I can't help it if dust happens to fly beneath my feet upon thee in front of me. What can I say? Is what it is. Pokes is live, or Pokes is live. I don't know how I'm gonna say Pokes. Pokes is live. Big ups to you. I'm glad you made it. Glad you came through. Red or Dead. We're gonna talk about that in a moment. So And Tony sounds very plausible. All right, JC, big ups to you. Ringside Reporter's #1 fan. Shout out to Emma Willis. Matchroom still wins regardless. Quality beats quantity. Um, I mean, look, what I will say in those divisions that have been put on the table, Queensbury probably have slightly more heavyweight. They've got more quality than Matchroom, unless they draw for Joshua. I don't think they're going to draw for Joshua, but if they do, then they'll at least win one of the heavyweight matches. But chances of winning both, it could be a little tight. So light heavyweight, I think they got that on Smash. Featherweight is a pick'em, especially if it's Opie Price against I think it's Nathaniel Collins. It would be Queensbury's pick because I don't think they'll use Nick Ball. But Toby, yeah, definitely. Okay, so I'm not the only one that thinks that it possibly could have been collusion, that these are the only weight classes you're allowed to pick because this is where they're strongest and it's the most competitive. All right, plausible. Jam down. It still behoove Matchroom to work with Queensbury in creating a competitive event that will be a better spectacle. The gravy train needs to keep running. Yep, very true. I'm still super excited to see how they arrange combatants for the 5v5. I doubt either promoter wants to lose, 100%. Why'd Eddie not pick Sonny Edwards? Well known in the UK and a good chance for getting the win. Again, I think I've just got a feeling certain weight classes were off the table. North Bank, 3 million views but can't sell 300 tickets in Telford. I mean, yeah. Skyliner, Spider outboxes Yard. Skyliner, Campbell can do well at domestic if matched right. Boy has heart, 100%. James, what happened to Andy Ruiz? Is he still fighting? I mean, technically he's not retired, but he's hella inactive, so no one knows what he's going to be doing moving forward. Shout out to G Chain in the building, and Smallsy, big ups to you, my good compadre from Australia. I guess, I must have caught you just before you've got to shoot off for classes and stuff, right? He says it's clear there was an agreement that Matchroom wouldn't put up their pound for pound guys in the 5v5, and for good reason. No one is going to tune in to see Bam Rodriguez versus a low-level domestic British boxer. I mean, yeah, maybe you're right. But it's like, even if there wasn't the pound for pound guys, there's certain weight classes I'm just looking at and I'm saying to myself, there's better weight classes you could have picked. Do you know what I mean? So, I don't know. G-Chain, Yard slander on here as soon as I lock on. And North Frank says, yeah, G, your timing is brilliant. I mean, can't lie. The 5v5 should. Big up Smallsy, Art of War, baby. Okay. All right. So, yeah. So we want to talk about, let's talk about this whole Derek James and what's his name? Errol Spence Jr. situation. Now, from what I've been told, when that rumor came out, Errol Spence was at Derek James's house. Like, they was talking and they both saw the thing together, and Derek said, well, as far as I know, like, none of this, this ain't true. We're still cool. You know what I mean? Like, there's no issues here. I know that Coach Calvin Ford, was asked if he would consider training Spence. But he said, look, he definitely have to speak to Derek James first and find out, look, is this okay? Is this something you're happy for us to do and for me to pursue? But I definitely love the opportunity if he was ever free. But from what I've been told, there's no truth to the rumor. I'll do a segment on it on obviously the next episode that I drop out. But when we talk about how he wasn't paid for the back end money on the Crawford fight and things of this nature, I don't know. That could all be true. So there's more that needs to come out of this, and obviously we need for Errol Spence to come out and say his piece properly, not just the whole, I need to find a new home. and all of that stuff. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that if there is some money for Derek to claim, that he will be claiming that. But for all intents and purposes, from what I've seen, there's no there's no issue in terms of the two of them. But yeah, we I definitely will be keeping my eye on that, and we can kind of find out what's going on. So yeah, we'll wait and see. Shout out to North Bank, just become a new member of the channel. Big ups to you, thank you very much. The more members that I get, the more I'm gonna start doing members only content again. Previously, I had a video speaking about the Eddie Hearn and Canelo, not so much the breakdown in relationship, but when Eddie said, look, now that Canelo's off the books, we've got money to actually put on better fights across the year. There was that. There was content about Clarissa Shields, and if she had the personality of someone like Franchon Cruz, would she be more well liked in the industry? Because a lot of people attributed her situation to her being of a certain hue, a certain shade, shall we say. And I've always felt that that's not necessarily true. I can accept that maybe that does play a small part, but there's other people who look like her who are not treated, or who are treated a lot better than she is, and to me it comes down more to attitude than actually looks. But yeah, I had a lot of those videos and stuff up on the channel. So yeah, more members, and I'll start doing more members content. And Jam Down 187 has just become a member of the channel as well. Thank you very much. I guess the lives is how the people are gonna start coming to the channel. So look, we got one today, we've got one tomorrow as well, 100%, most definitely. So thank you very much, you two. It does not go unnoticed. It is very much appreciated. Skyliner, still unclear on Ben's situation. Will the board have the bottle to make an example of him and send a clear message? Right, we're getting into that very shortly. We're definitely going to address that in a moment. Jam Down 187. I had to tidy up the amount of direct debits on my account for the bank, man. Then, but I'm back. Now, you know what? I hear it. I had to do the same thing the other day, especially when the money wasn't necessarily coming in like it used to. Certain things had to get skipped. You know what I mean? So, G Chain, that Ben pick doing the rounds again today after man got a bitch. Yeah, that was funny. Just did all of that to get a beard just to shave it off again. That was hilarious. But no, look, since we're here now, everyone's in the building. I'm glad that everyone's obviously enjoying the content. But look, we've got to talk about that main stuff. So Conor, we've got Conor and the board, right? So on this occasion, what we've seen is the National Anti-Doping Panel have upheld the appeal by the BBBOC and UCAD, and I believe it's based on but the thing is, we don't know what the reason is yet, because they haven't put out the official reason as to what the appeal was about. We still don't know. All we've been told is there's an appeals process happening, but we haven't been told what the appeal is actually about. It was widely rumored initially that that when they went to the panel, it was about legislation and who's got the authority to actually review the case, and that the BBBOC didn't have the authority to review it because they don't acknowledge VADA. So it's about jurisdiction. Now, Eddie Hearn on several occasions said that the case was not won via jurisdiction. Now, Eddie could very well have been lying. I'm not gonna discount that he probably could have been, but the question is, what was the case won on? If it wasn't on jurisdiction, if he won the case, he quote unquote cleared his name, all that stuff. Well, what was the case on, and what was this appeal on the grounds of? Because again, we haven't been told. Everything is, I heard this, I heard that, or the rumor is this, the rumor is that, but we can't go on rumors. We can't go on that to know fully. Like, we need to know, were you appealing based on the grounds of jurisdiction not being held? Was it on those grounds? did they see the dossier and they decided that no, the ban should be lifted based on this? He's been out of the ring for this amount of time. He should be allowed be cleared to fight yet again. That's what I want to know. And this whole situation is just, it's one of those ones, look, it's boring, but it's like every moment you think it's about to be done and dusted, a new facet comes around. And I wish, also, I'm going to be honest, I wish this was as interesting as the Bloodline story in WWE. I've been invested in that for the last 3 years. This, I got tired of about 6 months in. And after that, I just wanted to be like, oh, come on, guys, like, it's over now. Whatever's going to happen, just let it happen. But yeah, I do still, it's one of those things, it's unfortunate that, yet again, Conor's just he's in the headlines, like, maybe of his own volition. Obviously, a lot of this came down to his own poor choices, so you can't feel that badly for him. But by that same token, him being a very young man when this whole thing happened, he needed some other people, you know, his older, wiser people around him to help better protect him from certain things. And the worst case scenario, if he'd have done the radio silence thing like maybe Dillian did, like, well, I can't even say Alicia Baumgartner, she was not silent at all. But I guess the way that she proclaimed her innocence, I guess, was maybe just a bit more palatable to people than how Conor did and the way that he went about it. And obviously different counties, different places, you know. But it's like, look, let's think about, you know, Robert Helenius popped after the Joshua fight. You had Dillian Whyte, who adverse findings before. You had remember Orozco, who Conor Benn fought in his fight just before the last one, who popped in a test after the fight. We don't hear nothing about none of these people again because they're all just keeping quiet. That's the biggest thing here, is like, all right, silence obviously doesn't erase the past, but it does help to, you know, to sort of sweep it under the rug to a certain extent. Now, I'm not saying that in any way, shape, or form to condone any type of cheating and sort of drugs in sports and everything, because I'm a big proponent of, you know, clean athletes in, you know, most circumstances, especially in combat sports. But when it comes to something like this, if you've got all this evidence and all this legal stuff, and yes, it's that, like, let's get it done. Because let's be real, you've said that you've had this dossier for the last year. Dillian Whyte got his evidence in 6 months and no one's got anything to say. All right, now they might be asking, okay, where is he actually allowed to compete? We're not 100% sure. Why was he fighting in Ireland, where he said, look, it was just a chance to get out, get some of his people on the cards. Like, but either way, his process, even though he's still got a legal case like pending at the minute, no one's really worried about his process like that, because whatever information he had, he gave to the relevant authorities like swiftly. This whole thing about you're either not giving the board the dossier, or you're saying, oh, come, like, leave me alone and I'll show it to you or whatever. Not just give it to them. Just walk into the office. Literally just walk up to the office, see Robert Smith, say, bang, there's your copy of the dossier, review that, see you later. That would, to me, make a lot more sense than what's kind of going on at this moment in time. But yeah, it's just another setback. But the interesting thing about this is now, because they appealed against the suspension being lifted initially, but there's been no talk about whether the suspension will be reinstated. Now, obviously, I know people, shout out to Northbank, he said in there, you know, there's a chance that you could have the just put a backdated ban or whatever. But if the BBBOC and UCAD now have license to preside and review this case and review the dossier and all that sort of stuff, well, does that mean that his Texas commission license, or is his license in Vegas, or it might be a Nevada license, it's one or the other, I think it's Nevada, but he went to the Texas commission in that last fight. But if you've got, or it's the Texas and he went to the Caribe Royale, it's that way, yeah, so Florida, I think he's got a Florida license, yeah. So if you've got that now, does that automatically mean that they're going to have to go to the BBBOC and ask, is there any reason that we're not allowed, or that he's not allowed to compete? Is he still cleared? And if they say, well, no, we've now got our own investigation going on, does that mean that he now can't fight again um, until that's resolved. And also, a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, he could just go fight in Saudi Arabia." Like that whole Manny Pacquiao fight was potentially being booked for Saudi Arabia on one of those cards, but Saudi Arabia is now under the jurisdiction of the BBBOC. So if they're not letting him fight over here, he can't fight in Saudi, even before this whole situation took place. So I'm really, yeah, this whole thing is like, okay, there's a lot more at stake now. So I really kind of need to see like how that's all gonna play out. To me, it's yeah, it's a bit of a techie one. Yeah, North Bank said it as well. Saudi's a no-go. They're under the protection of the BBBOC right now, so you definitely can't get that Saudi bag until this whole thing's resolved. Um, Now, look, most people feel like a backdated ban is going to be on the cards. I can kind of see that. Now, if when it comes to strict liability, you get 2 years if it's a 4-year ban, reduced to 2 years if you're found to not be intentional or to not be on a performance enhancing substance, right? So this whole thing initially happened via their testing. When was it? August 2022, which would realistically mean that if they gave him a backdated ban to that initial period, then he'd be okay to come back again August of this year. But could they then maybe be a bit spiteful and actually do it from the moment they got the chance to hear the case? Because that's a possibility as well. To which point there is no back date and you've actually got to serve 2 years from now. Okay, so North Bank says, all right, so a year after, I guess maybe their first processes happened when those court cases. So now, yeah, August 2025. Whereas to me, I thought it would have been 2024. But yeah, because they all started their processes properly back last year. So that could be another year out of the ring. They're quite right, North Bank. So look, this whole thing is just this whole situation is shagged beyond all belief. They have to start it from their initial ban. There you go. All right. I mean, although it's weird though, because at the end of the day, he never had a license. Because remember, they couldn't necessarily ban him. They could just he didn't have his license. So because he didn't have his license, you can't effectively ban someone who's not under your jurisdiction in that sense. Because didn't his license elapse before he actually before the fight, and then he was supposed to renew it closer to the time, but then he didn't renew it because of what took place. So all they really could do would be just refuse to issue him a new one, as opposed to actually ban him from the sport, which was part of the problem in the first place. They didn't have the ability to ban him because his license had lapsed and he never renewed it. So yeah, the whole situation's messy. We thought it was going to clean itself up. It just got messy again. So yeah, let me check some of these comments to see what some of you guys have said. North Bank, all reports suggested jurisdiction. First case was black and white. More are, but BBLC have previous precedent of using VADA tests as evidence. Well, they did it with Dillian White, which is very true. Prior to that, they never did, and I think they did say afterwards though that they wouldn't use that as precedence moving afterwards either. But because they said it was consistent with a contaminated sample, because both of the VADA tests, the one that happened 3 days before was clean, and the one that happened a month after was clean as well, and every other test that was taken in that, not just in that camp, but the camps prior were also all clean, and all the other UCAD tests were clean. So yeah, they said this one is consistent with a contaminated sample. But yeah, I've not seen, but I know that now they've put into their rulings now that yes, they can use any testing agency that they see fit or that they deem accredited under the WADA umbrella. So yeah, they can use the VADA testing now if they so choose, or drug-free sport or any others. So yeah, see if there's anything else. Jam down. Yeah, the radio silence would have been the better option. Team Conor and the BBBOC UCAD need to hire a plumber because this saga has been nothing but leaks, leaks, and more leaks. Yep. The dossier that didn't mention eggs. The new legal teams say eggs. Yeah. Oh, I know. I know. Emma Willis. Maybe they knew he would get banned regardless, so they dragged it out by going to UCAD last, so all he would get is a backdated ban. Plausible. Very plausible. The way him and his team have handled the whole situation is something somewhere between dog shit and horse shit. Yeah, yeah. All right, look, what I'm gonna do now, because I've enjoyed this one, so just in case no one has to, but I'm gonna open up the live. I'm gonna give it another 15 minutes, so we're gonna go to 9:30. If anyone wants to jump on and give their takes, I'm gonna give people 5 minutes to jump on, populate. I'm gonna keep everyone say to like 2 minutes, and also I'll if there's a lot of people, then I'll sort of drop you off and I'll answer whatever questions you've got. But yeah, we're bouncing in 15 minutes. The streets won't forget Dillian and Vibes bus case on the same week. Very true. Very true. Not a bad shout, Emma. Nope. You know what? That's one thing I like about the people that come into my live or watch the. There's a lot of intelligent people with a lot of critical thinking. Because I can appreciate I'm not always right, and my opinions ain't always the most valid. So when I see people like North Bank in there, Emma Willis, Karma, even Josh Phillip, everyone who comes in, Jam Down, and like they'll say something that triggers something in my mind. Say, oh, you know what? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I could get behind that. So shout out. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go into my exit music. I'm just gonna let this populate for the period of time. Like I said, see if anyone jumps on. Again, you don't feel pressure to. You don't have to like. And obviously, you ain't got to put cameras on or nothing if you don't want to as well. If you're just happy being in the chat, contributing, I appreciate you. But yeah, I'm gonna give it 5 minutes. If no one jumps in, then we're good to go, and then we'll close off, the stream. But make sure you come back tomorrow for the live edition of Basis Picks. Again, there's 5 cards because there's a card on tonight, but I couldn't get around to that one. The Pro Box card on the Pro Box YouTube channel, some good fights on that card. There's actually 5 cards over the weekend. There's also an OTX boxing card with Pierce versus Villanueva, and that's going to be a really, really good fight. I like them OTX fight cards. So there's so much. I can't condense it into a 20-minute video unless I literally just say, this person wins, that person wins, this person. And I want to give people a bit more content than that. And it can be interactive. You guys can put your opinions down as well. And yeah, I appreciate it that way. And now that I've got these casual streams going on Wednesdays, put in the chat if you'd like me to possibly get guests to come in and come onto the show, and chat boxing. I've got there's a couple boxers that I've been reaching out to that I'm supposed to be trying to get on the breakdown. Some of them can't do Tuesdays, but if they're prepared to do Wednesdays, let me know. Would you want these streams to have some interview style segments as well, or do you want to stick to the topics and give your opinions on that? Let me know in the chat. Jam Down. I see what you did there, Magena. Exit music, Did that cover AJ? What about, are you talking about Anthony Joshua? What about him? I mean, I mentioned him briefly about the 5v5, but obviously Anthony Yard we spoke about as well. Why is Triple D fighting Hergovich? Well, look, if that's just probably a part of that 5v5, you know what I mean? So no, it's not confirmed it's for the strap, G-Chain. That's just a rumor. Look, the thing is, it could be the case, but he's in the rankings. If the belt's vacated and that match is already made, because he is the mandatory, they could petition for it to, for him to get that shot. Remember, AJ is not number two in the he's not number two on their list. He's number three. Their number two is still vacant, so they could petition for for Daniel Dubois to do that. But let's not forget, they're looking for Anthony Joshua to face the winner of either the Fury Usyk first or the rematch. Now you've got to think, in that case, remember, he's going to have that big undisputed belt. He's not going to care about the IBF at that point, because that belt says undisputed on it. And everyone knows the winner of that fight is the actual undisputed champion, regardless of who's holding the IBF. So he may just wait for that. It would make more sense to go for that IBF, hopefully win that, and then you put that back on the line in the big undisputed fight. But ultimately, I think they're just gonna look at more that belt, that big, to be fair, quite ugly looking belt that they designed for undisputed heavyweight champ. I'm sure they offered AJ to fight Hrgovic first before giving it to Dubois. No, but, I mean, yeah, look, that was the rumors, but Eddie Hearn and them said they're not going to do anything until after May the 18th. So they're not going to arrange a fight for him now, even with Hrgovic, without knowing that the belt is on the line. I think that's just the case. And let's be honest, ultimately, Hrgovic could fight Dubois on the first for the IBF, and then he could be made to fight on the card that takes place in September. They could say, no, well, look, you've got all of June, you've got July, you've got August, there's probably be towards the end of September, you've got September as well. Like, that's 4 months. There's no reason for you to not be ready. So then he could fight Hrgovic in that fight for the title, and rather than fighting for a vacant, he can now beat the champ to be the champ. And then you get Fury Usyk, in November or something like that, or December, and then Joshua fights the winner of that next year in the undisputed, if he were to win. So it's not really a big deal if Dubois does get the opportunity to fight for that belt at this stage and this time. And it will more likely be an interim IBF championship on the line in the initial fight, rather than the full title, and then maybe the winner gets elevated to it afterwards. That's kind of how I'd see it. Jam down. Any thoughts on Nicholas Waters fights on Pro Box event? That's tonight actually. I think Waters will win. Adorno's nothing real more than the journeyman now, and obviously Waters was at his best at 126, but that power is legit, and I don't think Adorno's going to stay out of the way of it. So yeah, that's my prediction on that one. Philip, should we sympathize with Ryan Garcia? Maybe. I mean, it's your right. If you feel like you should, then you should. That's not really my business to comment on either way. Matias versus Power in Puerto Rico, definitely a good fight. Like I said, I might address that one in the next episode towards the end of the week. I might do that on Friday. And Karma says free Conor. Yeah, definitely. All right, but look, ladies and gentlemen, no one clicked the link, which is fine. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate everyone. We will be back again tomorrow, as I said, so make sure you tune in to Basis Picks. And until then, Yasmin Malik dropped in just at the end of the time. Thank you. Salute to you. Always a pleasure to see you in the chat. Hope you've been well. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I will catch you all tomorrow. But until then, it's the Hardcore Casual out.
Maybe I'ma make it, maybe I'm not. In time we'll see. But who better than me? I don't care if you agree. I ain't saying that I'm better than anyone. But who better than me?